In the 50s, families came packaged in the form of the perfect line of June and Ward Cleaver and their two children, Wally and the Beaver. Aside from a few little sprays and bumps that occurred each week, life progressed as a flawless dream. I was the youngest member of such a family, starring a father who worked for himself, a mother whose job was to stay at home and keep things running smoothly, a brother who was 3 years older than me, our dog, the station wagon. Our house was filled with love, plenty to eat, and although we weren't extravagant by any means, we pretty much had what we wanted, or at least what we needed. I'm grateful for that. It must have been about the time my brother started to school that I began to notice something that felt a little heavy in the air. No one talked about this heaviness, so I learned right away not to ask any questions about it. It seemed to have something to do with my brother. I guess as time progressed and we didn't talk about it, I learned not to talk about anything heavy or uncomfortable. I wanted my parents to be happy, and I figured that people did that by hiding scary or unknown things away. I made sure that I didn't cause any heaviness for them. I'll jump forward for a minute and tell you that today my brother would probably be diagnosed somewhere on the autism spectrum. But at the age of 66, he has never been tested and has no diagnosis at all. These were not available when we were growing up. My parents continued to worry as it became more and more obvious that my brother was not maturing quite as fast as the other boys his age. He wasn't making friends, or fitting in easily in social situations, or into the expected little package that our society prescribed. No worries. I could do it. I could save my parents. I could save my brother. Eventually, I could save anybody. I keep everyone happy, protected from the worst thing of all, hurt feelings. Not being perfect definitely caused worry or hurt feelings. I got this. I'll fit in perfectly. I'll make sure I have lots of friends and that everybody likes me. That way some of the heaviness can be a little lighter for my parents. I learned to read people very well. I learned to monitor my behavior, my moods, to match those of the people around me. That way I'd be safe and not causing them any heaviness. I fit perfectly into any group that I needed to. Next, I started noticing that some people were making fun of my brother. I figured that I was the only kid with a brother who didn't fit in, and I was embarrassed. At the same time, I was ashamed of myself for feeling embarrassed because he was my brother, and I loved him. I remember one afternoon my friend's mother brought me home from an activity. My brother was playing softball in the front yard with a group of neighborhood kids who were much younger. This woman mockingly said, "Well, there's so-and-so playing ball with his little playmates." Not knowing how to respond and feeling embarrassed, I just laughed. I mean, she was laughing, and I needed to fit in. Over the years, I've stuffed many things and many feelings safely away. What I didn't realize is that these things don't stay neatly tucked away forever. It's much more painful now as they begin to resurface, and I know I must unpack them and face them. Some of them are still buried deep inside, and it will take a lifetime to clear them out. But the good news is that I have begun to start digging them out, and it feels good to look them in the eye. Sometimes it even feels good to know that I am not fitting perfectly into a group. Not everybody likes me, and most of the time I'm okay with that. Yes. I recently purchased a t-shirt that announces "perfect is boring." And I noticed that I'm feeling a little lighter these days. Several years ago, I was on a business trip with my husband. I happened to be seated next to a woman who mentioned that she had an autistic son. I told her that I had a brother whose behavior sounded much like that of her son's. We spoke of the similarities, and then she said to me, "So, you're the other child?" I was taken aback as she described her other son and the role he played in the family. That was the moment I began to feel validated. I said to the woman, "So that's really a thing." That day was the first time that I actually acknowledged that these feelings and behaviors of mine are normal and and shared by others. And that's the message that I want to share tonight. None of us are truly alone. I see that I have had a hero who has traveled ahead of me always, and that hero is my brother. He's marched bravely forward his entire life by being himself, in spite of what anyone else may have thought. Now I'm beginning to be myself and start my own brave journey.